So stuck to my chest are the two best wireless mics on the market today, DJI mic and Hollyland Lark Max. Now, one of them is a clear loser. So for those who want a bit more information, let me explain why I said this, and I'm going to keep the score as I go along, so let's do it. To give a bit of history, I've been using the Hollyland Lark Max for about a couple of months, and before that I used the DJI about a year before this. So to be honest, until I used the Hollyland, the DJI mic was the best wireless mic I ever used, so it really had to convince me that it was worth my time to even do this review. So, of course, one of the most important things for a microphone is the sound quality, just first off. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play back the sound from these mics throughout the entire video because I have these recording right now. So grab the beverage of your choice, grab some headphones or whatever you normally use to listen to it, and let's get to it. So first off, they both come with a great charging case. And because the DJI mic came out before the Lark Max, you may think Hollyland ripped this design off from DJI, but you'd be wrong. Actually, the Hollyland came out with this first in an older model of the Lark, then DJI ripped it off from them. So the first point goes to Hollyland for the innovation of the case in the first place. Now, having a nice compact case to not only charge everything is really important, of course, but what happens when you need all your accessories like your lanyards or your lav mics, extra little magnets, windscreens, things like that? Where do you put those? Well, the Hollyland comes with a dandy little carrying case that not only includes a spot for the case itself, the charging case, but it has a little zipper up here which has room for things like your lav mic and your magnets, your windscreens, all that extra stuff, your lanyards. So that all goes in here, and then it closes up into one nice little compact case. So you take this along and you have everything that you need in this case. So the DJI mic, on the other hand, doesn't come with its own little case. It comes with a little dangle bag where everything kind of fits into. And I'm not a big fan of that bag. It's just not very professional. So I bought an extra case. So I bought this one on Amazon, and I'll put links in the description for this stuff as well. And the DJI mic charging case fits in there. And then there's some spots here for all your little extra accessories and your mics and windscreens, things like that. Now, when you do that, of course, you can see the difference here that the one for the DJI is quite a bit larger. But again, that didn't come with the DJI mic. So again, a point to Hollyland for having an integrated case to keep everything together. Now, talking about the accessories, let's talk about what comes with each of these in the kit as you order them. So they both come with transmitters, receiver, dead cats for the mics, and magnets for attaching these little things to a shirt like I have here behind there. Now, DJI has integrated these little separate connectors into a kind of a cute little package like this. So design-wise, this is a big benefit because Hollyland just uses wires, different little cables that you have to interconnect. Design-wise, I'm going to have to give DJI the point for the integrated design clip. And also included with both is a 3.5mm connection cord for connecting the receiver to your camera. And though they both function, the one from DJI is clunky and unprofessional. I ended up purchasing a different one. This actually was a ceramic one to use with it. I couldn't force myself to use that one that came with the DJI. And the one from Hollyland is a nice coiled cable, but boy, is this thing tiny. I realized they probably wanted to maybe save some cost, or maybe make it a little more compact if this is always close to your camera. But this one from Ceramic, you can tell the difference here, and the size does matter. This one is really a stretch, so I'm going to be replacing the one from Hollyland with a Ceramic version here as well, just like I did with the DJI, because this is a much nicer cable. But that being said, point to Hollyland for at least including a coiled cable, albeit a little bit short. At least this is more professional than a straight kind of dangly cable. Now, I did talk about this cable in this video where I actually tested the lav mics with the DJI mic, and I'll leave a link for that, as I mentioned, if you want to hear more about it, because DJI doesn't even offer an external lav mic for their system, so it was a real hassle finding something that was compatible. But talking about an external lav, Hollyland makes their own that is, of course, compatible and readily available for a decent price. So point to Hollyland for having an external lav made for their system and available, because sometimes you don't want this ugly bob hanging on your shirt like this. It's just kind of ugly. And later, I'll try the Hollyland lav mic on the DJI mic and see how that works as well, so stay tuned for that. Lastly, when I purchased an early model of the Lark Max, it included a little talked about but incredibly useful item, and that is a magnetic lanyard. Looks something like this. Now, I use this all the time as it transfers the weight from your shirt. You can even see that this is trying to pull on my shirt here to keep it a little wrinkly. It transfers the weight through this lanyard that's on your neck beneath your shirt. It kind of holds these in a really nice spot. And you'll know if you've seen any of my videos that I use this all the time. Now, DJI does not even offer one specifically for their mic, so point to Hollyland for that. Full transparency here, there are a couple of things I don't care for with the Hollyland lanyard, even though it is available. One is that the length is just off. It's kind of an odd thing because you have to put it as small as it will go, and because of this little string that they've added here, instead of dropping this up directly connected, this is just too long. So you can't just slip it over your head and then have it in the right spot. Now, if you do shorten it by pulling these little tabs, it does work. But first of all, you've got these little dangly kind of strings hanging out here, which is a little more awkward. But now it's so small that the loop you can't get off your head. So now you have to try to fiddle with this and try to get it a little bigger. Every time you have to make it bigger and smaller so you can get it off your head, then put it on, adjust it. It's much more awkward. So certainly point to them for having it, but they could use a little bit of work on it as well. Second thing is this plate that connects the magnet to here, it is metal. And when you put that thing on your bare skin behind your shirt, it is so cold it about shocks you out of your shoes. So that is something I wish they would change, put a little plastic coating or something on there. Now you might be asking yourself, well, what do you use to compare it to that you can notice that this difference? Well, I happened to purchase one of these a while ago and I got it for a really cheap price, like $3 or something. And this is actually a 360 Go 3 model, which it's pretty awesome. It sits at the right height because of the way that they mounted it here. It is plastic with a magnet embedded in it so it doesn't shock you against your chest. And I never have to readjust it. I just slip it over the top. It's at the right height here on my chest. I pull it back off, wind it up, and put it in my case. So this is a really nice one. And again, I'll put the links down there so you can go find this one as well. So both have touchscreen displays that are on the receivers that light up when you open up the case. But the Hollyland simply has more information, and it's more valuable information, like the battery charge of all the models, the case charge, and the date is sitting here scrolling. Now, I also found the Hollyland to be a little brighter as well. It's a little easier to see in there. So point to Hollyland for the display itself. Now, they both have controls that allow you to pick between the parameters like stereo and mono, settings and gains, and both have decent responsiveness for the touchscreen themselves. But the Hollyland kind of did a unique thing in that they put this big dial on the side. And at first, I wasn't sure if I was going to like this big dial on here. Now, after a few times double swiping on the DJI and finding that it didn't quite move or how to go backwards, I really was able to appreciate this dial, and it has a button built into it as well. So you go through the menus and you click the button to select them. So it's really kind of intuitive to use. So point to Hollyland for the menu screen operation. Now both have standalone recording on the transmitters in the form of a safety track, and they work well. And I love this feature. Now, one thing that I did notice in the Hollyland does not have a vibration feedback when it starts recording. Now on the DJI it does have that, and I found that I missed that. It does have a little indication light that lets you know when it's on, but I did find that vibration really useful. Immediately when I pick it up, I know it's recording. I don't have to think about, did I turn it on or is it on? So point to DJI for the vibration feedback. Now, as you can see, the transmitters themselves are fairly similar in size and weight at about 34 grams. And that's the important item since it's hanging on your shirt or jacket. And I mention this because the rest of the kit, including the charger and the receiver with the case and all that stuff, is significantly more for the Hollyland. Now, if you're carrying this in a backpack or something and weight is really a big deal, I could see where having the DJI at half the weight would be pretty important to you. So have to give the point to DJI for having the kit case with everything included, nearly half the weight of the Hollyland. Now for performance, the first measure is basic battery life of the transmitter. Now that's these things, which is really important because you use these, remember, for your standalone recording as well. And for the DJI, it's 4.5 hours. And for the Hollyland, it's 7.5 hours. So it's darn near double. So point to Hollyland for the battery life. The receiver has 5.5 hours for the DJI, 9.5 hours for the Hollyland. So no brainer, point to Hollyland. Now the total runtime with recharges of the case, DJI has a 15-hour total runtime and Hollyland has 22. Again, point to Hollyland. Now for the internal recording time, it shows 14 hours for both, and both state 820 feet for the transmission distance, so both of these are a wash. One feature that's additional on the Hollyland that's not on the DJI is active noise cancellation. Usually I only use Dead Cat to block wind noise and such, and I do the rest of the noise fixes in DaVinci Resolve, but the noise cancellation on a Hollyland is pretty good, so it might have some use. So I'm going to play a little bit of this test when I went out in a noisy area so you can see what that sounds like. So right now I'm in a place which is quite noisy. I've been here before, and you can see the cars going behind me here. This is a major highway right behind me, and it's really quite noisy, so you should be hearing a lot of noise. Right now, both of these mics are set up in their normal mode. Just kind of take a mental note of what this sounds like, just me normally recording. So now you should be hearing the sound coming out of the Hollymark that is being recorded to the camera with the active noise cancellation on. So does it sound any different? Does it sound better or worse? You tell me kind of what the quality sounds like. Now I'm going to go back to the DJI mic now. So this is as good as you get from the DJI mic right now. So you tell me if the noise cancellation is worth having on the Lark Max or not, if it sounds good or if it doesn't do anything for us at all. So from what I can tell, the cancellation did do a pretty decent job, and since DJI doesn't have any, point to Hollyland. Lastly, let's talk about price. The DJI mic regular price is $329 and the Lark Max is $299. Now the Lark Max comes with a protective case for that price, and the DJI, I had to buy that separate. So the initial value goes to Hollyland. But right now there is a bit of a price drop for both of these. So the DJI is on sale for $249 and the Hollyland is at $269. So point reversal for the Hollyland and back to DJI for the price, at least for the moment. So the last thing I want to do is test the Hollyland lav mic on the Lark Max and on the DJI mic. Since DJI doesn't even offer their own, we'll use the Hollyland lav mic for both of them. Now you can see I have them both hooked up. They're both here on my chest in the same place, and I have one going to the DJI mic and one going to the Lark Max. So I'm going to go ahead and talk, and I'm going to switch back and forth so you can tell me which one sounds better, worse, or are they exactly the same. So this is the Lark Max using the Hollyland lav mic, and I'll switch it over to DJI mic using the same type of Hollyland mic so you can hear them both, and I'll reserve judgment for this and let you decide which one gets the point for sounding better with the lav mic. So let me know in the comments who gets the point for the lav mic sound. Is it DJI using the lav mic, or is it the Lark Max? Now remember, these are both using the Hollyland lav mics because DJI doesn't offer one of their own. Now one thing to note is that DJI mic is notorious for having interference with lav mics, and perhaps this is one of the reasons they didn't make their own in the first place. But if you're wondering about the other lav mics, which ones actually work for the price and such, you're in luck because I did do a mic comparison between a half a dozen different ones, and I'll put that video up here so you can take a look at that as well. So with that, hopefully this was helpful to you, and if so, don't forget to tap that like button before you go, and I'll see you shortly in this video.